wrote down.
Cool beans. All right, so thanks to Larry in the OWASP chapter. I appreciate it. So we're gonna do this one's a little bit fun tonight. It's not real hardcore technical. I've done this one a couple times, and I'm doing it for the company I work for tomorrow. It's a little bit more fun, a little bit more entertaining than some of the stuff. It's still educational. You're probably not going to see this on the CSSP. I heard you guys talking about that. You're not going to see this on the CSSP, but it's some cool stuff, and it is some stuff that you can actually use in real life. CSSP, you can use some of that in real life. I think there's a chapter there. Anyway, so long story. Man, I'm used to standing up to present, but I'm going to probably sit down. I'm going to go to the next page real quick. Who I am. My name is Keith Perry. I'm the Vice President of Security for Black Knight, which is located here in town. We're a Fortune 2000 company. We made the news last week because we were bought out. So in a different world, we do software processing and software mortgage software for about 72% of all the first mortgages in America. So pretty big world. 2 data centers, a bunch of cloud stuff, about 4 mainframes. This kind of stuff that we do. I am responsible for the penetration testing, security engineering, security architecture, and threat vulnerability management. So some pretty cool stuff that we get to play with on a day-by-day basis. My background, I've lived in Jacksonville all my life. I know I don't look as old enough to have 30 years of experience, but I do. And I do have grown kids, so that's a different story. But anyway, so background, I worked for Jam Family. Actually, I worked for Xerox right around the corner when I was at college, went to UNF. Worked for Jam Family Enterprises in Bay Meadows, worked for Florida Blue out that way, work for Black Knight now. My background started in programming, moved into infrastructure, project management, got an MBA, thought that management was a good idea. Should have stayed in programming. But anyway, and then into security. So last 7 years been security for Black Knight. Before that, I did a couple years of security and 10 years of infrastructure for Florida Blue. So just kind of my background. You guys were talking about the CSSP back there. I suffered through the CISM, and I make sure that one gets renewed every year because I never want to have to take that test again in my life. Anyway, started out playing electronics and computers as a kid many years ago, and we'll skip past that part. So we'll go back. So the deep fakes. So this doesn't have as big an impact for you guys as it did for my company. So I'll play it, and then I'm going to show you a video to kind of explain what it is. So get it to come up again. Come on. So it's just a short.
All right, everyone, please join me in welcoming my favorite person in the world, my close good friend Keith Perry.
Okay, so everybody hears that? Yeah. Okay. All right. How does it sound to you? Does it sound like a real person to you guys? Yeah, it sounds like somebody on a bad cell phone connection. Okay, so this is what. Come on, give me a mouse. There we go. All right, so this is what Anthony Jabbour.
My personal leadership style, I think, is
That's his real voice,
and making sure,
which is our CEO. So if we go back to this, come on, work with me. Being flaky over here. Play it back to back. Okay. Anyway, so that clip is not his real voice. The video you saw there, or you heard, is his real voice. That clip that was produced was done off of video that we pulled off the YouTube. Software I'm going to show in a few minutes. It's open source. You can go download it. You can learn on the machine. It takes 5 seconds of voice from any kind of decent, video, audio, whatever. It takes 5 seconds to clone a voice. After that, you can take and type in whatever you want to say, and it will come out sounding like that. I'll get deeper into this later on in the video or into the presentation. But it's pretty doggone impressive. So, it sounds like he's on a bad cell phone connection, etc. We'll talk about how this has been used in real life to steal $35 million. Yeah, 35 million. So it happened in the UAE. Well, I think I have got the slide. It's $25 or $35 million. I was at a presentation the other day that was a government presentation where one of the people that was involved in it talked about it and got verification that it really did happen. And so this is all fun and games and some cool stuff. You're gonna, some really cool stuff later on. But there's some real bad things that can happen with this, and we are at literally the beginning of this. So we'll get into it. It's going to get rolling. So what are deepfakes? So it really is what they call a portmanteau. And everybody's going, what the hell is this portmanteau? Everybody used a spork in high school. One of those things, there was a fork and a spoon. Well, portmanteau is when you take two words and combine them together and you come up with a new word. Yeah, use that one on, trivia night. So basically deepfakes is deep learning and fake images put together, deepfakes. Yeah. So there's some different definitions about what deepfakes are. The first one is Oxford, is basically a video or a person in which their face or body has been digitally altered to appear to be someone else. Wikipedia has a little bit of different, the portmanteau, deep learning, synthetic media. Deepfakes are typically used to refer to a video. Well, that was the Webster definition. I referred to it as audio, video, or images. So a little bit of any of the three. So we'll get on with it. Maybe. Okay, so my definition of this is, it's an image, a video, or a voice, for media, generated by a computer algorithm. So it is all generated by a computer algorithm. It could be a person, an animal, or an object. And that gets a couple slides deeper in here. Remember the animal thing. Based on real people or objects. So it takes pieces of, different things and puts them together. It's also subject to change. What we know about deepfakes right now is tremendously fast forward from what it was 2 years ago. And what it's going to be like in 2 years from now, who knows? Everybody knows what a GPU is. Okay. All right. So GPUs have changed the world for this. You can do so many calculations so quickly now that is not just good for gaming. You can create videos. Something that would have taken 30 days of processing 5 years ago now will take minutes. So the GPU thing is incredible. So there's some guys in the crowd I think that have done pen testing in the background. Brute forcing passwords, cracking passwords or hashes, GPUs, they are magical for doing that. Just so much faster. Well, that's the same thing with this, that where we're at now in 5 years, who knows? In 5 years, we may not be able to tell the difference between a deep fake and a real image. I mean, it may get that big. And I'm going to put you guys to the test here in a minute, right now. Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, and 3 are women on the top. 4, 5, and 6 are men on the bottom. All right, so which ones are fake out of 1, 2, and 3 out of the women? I got a number 2. I got a 3. Who said all 3? Bingo. All 3 of those are fake. All right, so you're good at spotting these now. Okay. 4, 5, and 6. Which one is fake? We're sure of that? Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. They're all fake. All 6 of them are fake. All right. I will tell you right now. We'll get into how to figure out some of the fakes. But even with giving you, the idea of how to figure out the fakes, at first glance, number 1, I swear is one of my relatives. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, all right. So we're good now, right? Everybody's good at finding fakes. Tell me which cat is fake. Okay, so I gotta tell you, There's only three choices here. You've done math before. Left, right, or both. All right. Or none. Yes, thank you. Whoever said four choices. Yes, none. I will give you a clue. All of them are fake. Those are all fake. Yeah, if I send you this picture of a cat, nobody in here is going to go, "Oh, that's a fake cat." You're going to go, "Yeah, that's my cat." Quite honestly, my cat doesn't look as real as these. Okay, let me phrase it. I don't own a cat. My wife has a cat. My daughter's had a cat. I just feed and take care of it. So that's what you do in life. Okay, so my point being, what we see as being quote real and fake, it's tough to tell at times. I mean, would anybody who wanted to bet on that first set of six, they could have gotten all six of them right or wrong? I wouldn't, and I put them up there. Occasionally somebody always goes, "Hey, I think all three of them are fake." So, or all six of them are fake, or both cats are fake. All right, so this is a pretty cool website. And everybody can go play with this. And I will make the slides available. In the back end of the slide, the last slide has all of the references for all this material you can go play with. You can send fake cats to whoever you'd like. So I've got all the fake cats I need. So, all right, with that said, let's see if I can move this over. Yep, okay. So this is a pretty cool site. Now, it was actually, we believe it was used for some fraud. And I suspect it's used for more fraud than just this one. So I never had a son, so I always wanted a son. I had two daughters. And by the way, that's always one or two too many. So I always wanted a son. So let's build my son. All right. So all right. So he looks a little bit older than probably my kid should be, right? So let's update him. Let's make him a little younger. What do you think? Yeah, that's it. Most teenagers that age, what are they? Not happy, right? Yeah. All right. Disgusted, angry. Let's just go with angry. Yeah. Maybe frightened would be more better. I don't know. Okay. All right. So let's go back to neutral. All right. So let's turn this kid's head a little bit because I don't like him looking at me. All right. So there we go. All right. All right. Anybody notice something about the ears? They don't match, do they? Yeah. Well, no, but they're not that bad. They're not that bad. Okay, so let's go with a little bit here, different hair color or skin tone. He looks sick. He looks sick. All right. Yeah, maybe. All right. Let's go with let's update this here. So here's my point. You can do men. You can do women. Yeah. Okay, so this is what is available from a website that you pay $0 from. All right, so what do you think that there are 3-letter agencies somewhere in the Virginia area that start with an N and end with an A and have an S in the middle that have capabilities far exceeding this? We all pay our taxes to make sure that we have those things. Okay, this is what you can get for free. Can you imagine what can be done with real processing and a dedicated team to this kind of stuff? So at this point, yeah, you can kind of figure out that, this may not be a real person, but this is the same algorithm that created those first 6 that we saw. It's also the same algorithm that created the cats. And by the way, if you like horses, there's a site that does the horses. Okay, I just figured that cats was enough. You didn't need horses too. So anyway, this is the kind of cool stuff that is out there and being done right now. You can go play with this stuff. This was used, everyone believes this was used to build a LinkedIn profile that was used for one government agency, another country, against another country to get a whole bunch of people to, I think it was LinkedIn. Somebody remember this right. It was like LinkedIn. They used that profile picture of a woman on LinkedIn. She was very attractive. And it wasn't a real person, and that's what. There was another one where there was a story where it was one of the some research story where they tracked it down to where, okay, they couldn't find this author. Come to find out, this author didn't exist, and they had used a picture like this for his biopic. So I got pulled into an area of interest one day at work with a company that was looking to do some business with us. And it's a long, convoluted story. We were like, they just don't feel right. They don't feel right. Went and looked at everybody on their board of directors. And I swear, every one of them looked like one of these pictures and then pulled off of it. Needless to say, at that point, we all went, okay, we're done. We're not talking to you guys anymore because we just don't know. Couldn't find a real address for the company. Nothing matched up. Nada. And all the pictures looked like it came right off of this site. It's like, nah, we're done. We're done. We don't need to have any more conversation with you guys. So it's turning into some real world stuff. I don't know if those pictures were or not, but I knew enough about this to be concerned. And that's the only thing I want you guys to take away tonight is there's some stuff to go play with. You're not going to be an expert at this. I'm sure not. And I never will be. I don't have the time for it. But it's some pretty cool stuff to go. And on top of that, when you see something in the news and you go, I don't know. I just don't know. Maybe you want to go do some investigation of your own. All right. So how does it work? So basically, create those images, create the cats, etc. It's called a generative adversarial network. A GAN is what it's called. So it's basically two neural networks, machine learning, that fight against each other. So one creates the image, and one tries to decide whether or not it's a real image or not. So the left side creates a face. The right side says, it's fake. The left side creates a fake. The right side says, it's fake. The left side tries again and gets a little better. And it says, oh, that's a real face. And it passes through. So the algorithms are churning against each other to build out an image that looks as real as it possibly can be. So the real thing is that for detecting it, if you've got this process going on that the generator keeps getting better every time the detector says, hey, that's not good enough, you just keep getting better and better and better. A lot of processing power, et cetera, some of the training models, that kind of stuff in the background. But that is a real website. The GAN model is also used for other things in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So some pretty cool stuff. All right, so we talked a little bit. A couple people nailed some things. Somebody over there was talking about background. Bingo. One of the things you'll see is the right side background doesn't match the left side background. I've seen them where there's trees on the right side, on the left side it's a wall, and you're like, that doesn't make sense unless the person's head was right where the wall and the trees stopped. But background inconsistencies, those are something that you look at and you go, okay, this side's light, this side's dark. Something's not right. Pairs of things, eyes, eyebrows. Somebody said earrings or ears. Pairs of things because it's trying to decide what to put where. I have seen pictures, and I don't think I have one. I have seen pictures where you got one really long, big earring, and you got one like stud. And you're like, I don't think she left the house looking like that today. I mean, not on purpose. So shadows that don't match. That is something that's still difficult for it. I saw a picture of a guy holding a rock up. He's holding a rock and he holds her up over his head. But you look at the shadow, it shows his hands are down by his side. It's like, okay, that's not, it's not there. Okay. EXIF data. Does anybody know what EXIF data is? Anybody?
The image, the metadata.
Metadata. So every time you take a picture with your phone, camera, whatever, it labels a set of data in the actual file. It says when it was taken, what kind of camera took it, what the settings for the camera were. If you got GPS turned on, it shows the location. Perfect example of this, ratting somebody out. Anybody remember? Oh, dude, McAfee. Anybody who knew McAfee was? McAfee, yes, John McAfee. Absolute nutcase. But he was trying to get out of, I think it was in Belize, trying to get out of Belize and come north because he had been accused of murder. He was fleeing the country under disguise, and it was a Wired or Vice reporter with him that was taking pictures of this escape. They published them, and sure enough, in the EXIF data was the GPS coordinates latitude, longitude, which makes an escape much more difficult. If someone knows where you're at, it's harder to escape. So the EXIF data, if you look at it, and you may be able to say, hey, you know what? This picture was taken supposedly at this date and time, but the EXIF date shows a time and date later than that. You know, it's probably a fake data. So that's something you can use to match up against. Okay, is this a real image? That applies to everything. I mean, all data. And you will go to, if you pull data off of Facebook or Twitter, et cetera, they have scrubbed all the EXIF data off that. Sorry, I've gone down a tangent, but it's one of those that at some point in your life, you'll use that. And by the way, if you want to look at the EXIF data on a picture, there are a ton of websites out there where you do is go over there, upload the picture. Now remember, you're giving the picture away. You upload the picture, and it will tell you all the EXIF data, which is pretty cool. Try that. That's an experiment. Go home, play with that. Grab a picture off of some website, if you're Car Forum or a Pinterest or wherever. I don't know if Pinterest scrubs or not, but anywhere, some of those places, and pull the data up and see what's there. If nothing else, take a picture that you don't care about, upload it, and see that it'll say it came from my Apple iPhone at this time of date. It actually is pretty cool. If you can't remember when you took a picture, you can go find when you took a picture. Sorry, down a rabbit hole. We'll go back to the real world here. In this background, the hair is very difficult to do. That's one that's very difficult to do. Earrings, blurred, melted, don't match. Eyeglasses are really tough. It's one of those things that you can add. Matter of fact, we'll go back over here. You can add. We'll go back to this guy. Yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff like that.
On that EXIF data, if you scrub it, there's enough websites now that if it's got outdoor backgrounds in it, it will auto-locate the location, find out exactly where you are.
Here, we'll give this kid some reading glasses. Okay.
Scout with the wind. You can have a bit of located. Also,
Yeah, if you look, and it's tougher to see over here than it is on the screen, but if you look over here, it just, they don't quite look right. That actually is one of the better ones I've seen. Of course, it would be when I try to demo it. Yeah. So that kind of stuff. Sorry, guys. This is clumsy. Yeah, absolutely.
Can we use our own face?
On that one, I don't think you can.
Oh.
But we'll get some stuff later on that you can do on a cell phone. That is actually pretty cool. Let me get on with this here. Okay, so one of the cool things that it can't do very well, even though GPUs are really powerful, but they're not there yet, is teeth. And if you see deep fakes with a mouth open, it will usually look like false teeth, one big round. They don't necessarily have the clarity and the power to make well-formed individual teeth. Now, that was 2 weeks ago, 6 months ago. God only knows what 6 weeks from now it will be like. This stuff is changing rapidly. Microsoft released a tool to find video, to identify video fakes. They have released it to government agencies and nonprofits and that kind of thing. It isn't readily available. There is a site called deepware.ai. It's free. You can upload a video. Again, if you upload a video, you've given it away. So just keep that in mind. But if you upload a video, it will run across it and try to determine if it is a fake video. So you find one in the news, you go, well, I wonder if it's a fake video. You can do that. Somebody else mentioned, I think you mentioned, Mark, about reverse image search.
Yes, you can actually upload the image. You can take an image and it'll take the background and it will determine the location of the background.
Right. Yeah. So Google does that. Bing does it, I think. There's a site called TinEye. I love TinEye. you basically take a picture, you upload it, and it will tell you everywhere that it can find it on the internet. Now, there's some really cool uses for this. One is if you upload a deep fake like this and it comes up and you find, images like it and it's on somebody's Facebook profile, either they're a real person or somebody's created a profile with that. For something like a company, I throw one of our logos, I'll throw our logos out there, reverse image search to see where it is being used. Clients will use it to represent they're doing business with us, but you'll find, phishing sites and other scammers that are using it and it gets indexed. Anyway, another rabbit hole, sorry, but yeah, things that you can actually use in real life.
Would you say that sign for?
Tineye, TINEYE.com, I think. Google it so that I don't send you the bad website. Because I'm doing it off the top of my head.
I use it a lot.
Okay, there you go. What do you use it for?
To do just that.
Okay, there you go.
I was doing some research on a company and I was like, those photos don't look real, so I just searched for them. They turned out to be a good stock photo.
All right, so I played that clip for you that we had pulled and done with voice calling software. So I'm going to bounce back over here to the web, and I'm going to show you a sample site that algorithm, that program was used by the researchers who built it, and we're going to play. So the top clip is a real person. It's the reference clip. Okay, here we go. I pressed that.
The Norsemen considered the rainbow as a bridge over which the gods passed from Earth to their home in the sky.
Okay, all right.
There are several listings for gas station.
Okay, that is a clone of her voice off of that software. 5 seconds. Bingo. I was gonna dig into one of them. There is one where you're like, this doesn't sound that good.
Yeah.
But the clones sound better than he sounds. So, all right, so let's bounce over here. Let's try this guy.
Well, what can't be done by main courage in war must be done by circumvention.
Okay, that was the real voice.
There are several listings for gas station.
Gas station. Yes. All right. Real.
The measurer resolves to submit with resignation to that decision, whatever it might be. Here's the forecast for the next 4 days.
How close was that one?
That's close.
That's really close.
The measurer resolves to submit with resignation to that decision, whatever it might be. His motives were more pragmatic and political.
It's fake, but it was all off. Now I will tell you. So, like the one I did, our CEO is Anthony Jabbour, and I did it with Anthony Jabbour in the first one. We faked that one, and it said Anthony Jabber. I went, yeah, not so much. We'll shorten that to Anthony. So there are words it has trouble with, things that aren't normal pronunciations, etc. But that is off of 5 seconds. 5 seconds of audio. My last sentence was probably 5 seconds of audio. Yeah, I'm long-winded, but that's a different story. All right. So anyway, let's do one more. This one I don't think I've ever done.
Words are framed to express a level of thought, which is by no means primitive.
That was
Take
real.
a look at these pages for Crooked Creek Drive.
Fake. All right. Bad cell phone connection. How would you fall for that? I would. Yeah. All right. So, and here's the thing: we are sitting in a room where the name of the presentation is deep fakes. Okay, and we're going, yeah, maybe not. In the real world, not paying attention. God only knows. Yeah. I mean,
if you played any of those before the lecture or before the presentation, we would have never guessed that.
So when I did this for our cross training for our security teams, I played the Anthony Jabbour one. And Anthony's a phenomenal guy, great CEO, wonderful person. I played that one, and everybody was like, that sounds like Anthony on a really bad cell phone connection. So, yeah, it does. And they all knew something was up because Mr. Jabor is never going to spend any of his days saying I'm the best person in the world. Ever. I might be, but he ain't going to have time for that. So anyway, so that's the kind of stuff that, yeah. So the voice cloning we talked about there, open source code. So you can go download the code. That research is about 2 years old at this point. That page actually points to another set of research that they say is much better and is being maintained in open source. I just haven't had time to load it up and make it work and play with it. The interesting thing is this has become software as a service. Everybody know what software as a service is? Okay, it has become an offering for software as a service, and there's some legit uses for it. People who want to do audiobooks and don't want to have to read it. Perfect example. People who do YouTube videos and want to have a better voice than I have. I wouldn't use my voice. I would do software as a service. You can do it. It's cheap. It's cheap. And you can pick the voice you want it to sound like. If I wanted to make it sound like a female, but my writing, no problem. No problem. So every day it gets better. If you listen to talk radio, the news stations here in town, iHeartRadio was starting to run some stuff a while back where the news broadcast was not a real person. And it was god awful. I listened to it and went, that's automated. Now, I don't know if it's gotten better or they quit. I can't figure out which. But that's a real world example where I was driving to traffic going, now, if you listen to traffic on the way in, you have to hear every 7 minutes the same news cycles so you can hear where the next accident is. But about the fourth time of hearing that, that's not a real voice. I'm sure that's not a real voice. So anyway, voiceover actors, conversations, with the dead, and think about it. At this point, if you've got the cloning software and you've got a couple minutes of grandma on video, grandma can have a conversation with you at this point. Slightly creepy. I would give you that. It's slightly creepy.
When you said using it, as a software as a service, I thought about that company ACX. Has anybody heard of it?
No, that's a new one on me.
Basically you get paid for like reading books. So like that would be perfect because you wouldn't have to buy a mic or anything. Am I right or wrong?
So let's see if I get this right. So you're going to use the software as a service to feed a software as a service so people can get on the net.
Yeah.
Genius.
That is, and now that I'm thinking about it,
You realize
Right.
everybody in here is going to be at home doing that.
yeah, I'm definitely going home to give it a go.
But you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This is
It's
stuff.
getting crazy out here.
Oh, yes, it is. All right, so here you go. I forgot I had the slide. So this one there's the image. Okay. Does that image not look like one that we just generated? Yeah. That was a LinkedIn profile for that one, where she was convincing people to connect with her on LinkedIn from governments. So yeah.
Just a quick story. My social engineering professor, my grad program, was not even the CIA case officer. Got half the class to connect to a fake profile.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
So,
And you were in a social engineering class.
that was his
Social.
class.
Yes.
And one of the few that did not accept it.
And you were in the social engineering class. So you knew you were a target. Yes, exactly. All right, so this is pretty cool. This one's a little different. Let me grab the video. Sorry, not working with my stuff. So, all right, so everybody knows what Tom Cruise looks like in action. So,
Russia to movie star. Said no, Mr. Gorbachev, I'm not. Well, remember how much a polar bear weighs. elevator, he said, enough to be nice.
So, I mean, first off, I'm not a Tom Cruise fan, get that crossed, but how close does that look to Tom Cruise?
It's very close.
It is. So there is a guy who is very similar in build to Tom Cruise. Doesn't sound anything like Tom Cruise. Him and some other people have gone down this path of creating deep fakes. Now, they don't do it for money. They just do it to show the technology better. This is him doing acting, face replacement, voice replacement. That's my understanding of how it's being done. There is a 60 Minutes episode on this. I haven't gone to the trouble of watching it. I really should to talk about it, but I haven't. But I do have a link to an article about this. Justin Bieber was fooled by this on Twitter not long ago with Tom Cruise playing a guitar. Well, it wasn't Tom Cruise. Justin Bieber called him out and said, "Hey, I didn't know you played guitar that well." Well, it wasn't Tom Cruise. Justin Bieber was fooled from a Twitter video. Now, by the way, just for clarity, Justin Bieber is not the bar on if how good you are at judging things. Okay, just for Anyway, interviews on 60 Minutes. It's on. He has an entire TikTok channel of Cruise videos. You're on your own. One was plenty for me. But anyway, there's the Today article about it. But that's how good deepfake stuff could be. And that's guys who are doing it on the side, who are into acting and, got some level of equipment. Yeah. All right. So Photoshop on steroids. This one's pretty cool because I've got not anymore. They're not teenage daughters anymore, but I had teenage daughters and they loved a lot of the fashion stuff and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is called Facetune. Everybody's heard of auto-tune, right? Where, you can correct the voice. You can take somebody who's a decent singer and make them phenomenal. Well, this is kind of like that. So I'm going to play a video. It's actually a promo for the company, and we'll go from there. But watch the things that change as it goes along. And this is being done on video. It can also be done in real time. And there's a story I'll tell in a second. Let me pop over this. Here we go. All right, so has anybody ever seen that before?
I think you can make fillers and stuff on social media.
Right. That will do it in real time. So, you don't have it. So there was, and I have to go find the story. You guys can look it up. But there was a woman in one of the Asian countries, South Korea, Vietnam, one of those, who had a video channel where she streamed on Twitch. And she appeared to be this really cute, attractive 20-something-year-old, and it was all magic. One day the filtering went off, and it was a middle-aged woman who was heavy set doing this. Now, needless to say, her subscriptions dropped substantially, but that's the kind of stuff that is being done now. So, and that again, that's what is being done with either commercial you can afford to buy or free. I don't even want to think about what is actually out there for, unlimited budget. Let's go with that. It could probably make me good looking with unlimited budget even. Maybe. All right, so So let's talk a little bit about how they can be used. Advertising, entertainment, we've seen that. I mean, streaming, etc. Misinformation. I didn't throw this one in this presentation, I don't think. Maybe farther down the deck, but did anybody see the deep fake with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine? Okay. It was a call to surrender, to lay your arms down. That was god awful. It was that whatever country did that, which was probably Russia, didn't have a GPU handy anyway. I'm like, man, I'm like, you could have gone on Fiverr and gotten somebody to do a better job. But anyway, that's a different story. Like, hey, whatever. Criminal framing innocent people. I actually heard of a case where this happened not that long ago. Was video of a guy walking in, committing a crime, and leaving. And it was 100% deep fake. Wasn't him. That is scary as crap. Criminal theft through social engineering. We talked about it. I think I've got it deeper in here. Through this infidelity help desk. So if you have an account with Fidelity, a couple of years ago, they started doing this thing where they would use your voice to ID you. Like they want you to read a sentence, they would do it, and then they would match it against your account. No need for a password. After seeing the cloning thing, I'm like, no, not my 401ks. But think about that. I mean, you call up, yeah. All right, crimes. So, Symantec talked about, 3 different successful ones where they have seen this for business email compromise. Does everybody know what business email compromise is? BC. All right, so I think there's a couple of people who might not. So basically, business email compromise is you'll get an email that says, "Hey, I need you to wire $10 million to this account because we're doing a deal." And some of the things that you will see about them are it's a sense of urgency. It's got to be done. It's from somebody of power. It looks real, etc. So this has been used. The deepfake stuff has been used in at least 3 of those type of crimes to get somebody to send money. The next one is the one that I actually heard somebody who was of knowledge at a government conference I just came from in Orlando a couple of weeks ago. $35 million was stolen from a bank in the United Arab Emirates. What happened was the manager had a personal relationship with a client, with a customer, who had a substantial amount of money. That customer called and asked the bank to wire $35 million out. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with wire, when money gets wired out, it's gone for the most part. Few cases where you can pull it back, but usually it's gone. What happened was voice cloning. Was somebody voice cloned the voice of this client, called the manager with that voice, got him to wire $35 million out. I'll be honest with you, that's not a bad payday. I mean, especially probably took all morning. I mean, that's only like if I'm doing the math, it's like $8.5 million an hour. Hope to make that one day. Yeah. So that is somebody who had money, had time, had the capabilities to build that. One of the things that I highly recommend is if you're running a company where the people who have the ability to transfer money, they have an expected challenge question and password. I ask you what's your favorite animal, and you tell me Wyoming. Makes no sense whatsoever. Can't be guessed. It can't be hacked, etc. We've talked about that where I work a lot. The other one, next one, manipulating stock or company image. So if you can do some of this stuff, and you can produce an image or a voice of a CEO, think about the things that you could do to degrade that company's image in public if you can get it published. If you're a stock guy, you know that you can short the stock, it goes down, you sell, you make money, you walk away fat, dumb, and happy. Harassment. A lot of the original deep fakes were for porn. They were revenge porn, harassment porn, whatever you want to call it, where people had an X, they put their face on a porn star's body, and it got circulating. This is not an area I dive deep into, but I have read stories that there are entire subcultures in places like Telegram and other areas where that is the entire thing, that entire channel is based around that, where you can provide somebody's face and they will provide, or their image, and they will provide a fake porn scene with that person's image in it. I did mention the President Zelensky surrender video. So it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Now it got pulled down from all over the place. But it's out there. And look for deep fakes, look Zelensky. Should be able to find it, I think. The future. So detection becomes more difficult every day. Better GPUs, better algorithms, more training data. The more data that gets trained, the better it is. Media authentication. Think of watermarking, where produce an image for a company, it has a watermark on it. Now, I'm not saying it can't be duplicated, but that is at least something that you can go back and prove. There's watermarking things that you are not aware of, probably, that float around. One of them that I thought was really interesting was a lot of, I think it's HP, I can't remember, HP laser jets. But if they're color laser jets, they produce, it's in a very faint yellow set of dots at the bottom of the page, I think. I'm not making all of this up.
Almost all of the printers, particularly the high-end ones, all now have tracking in every image, every print that it makes.
Right. So
if you take a picture or try to claim, they can track it down. Even a picture of something you printed off, they can track it down. Been used, I think, Reality Winner. If y'all remember when she got arrested, she got busted.
That was exactly how she got busted. They were able to track because it basically puts the serial number of the printer in yellow on the bottom of the page, and it is almost impossible to see without some kind of help. But yeah, they busted her. Those are the kinds of things. I believe the FBI has used that more than once to bust people. Media provenance, reverse media searches, we talked about that. There are also some tools out there to do reverse searches for video. I'm not very familiar with them, but I know they exist. You can go out and do some research on that. Algorithmic computer-based analysis, fight fire with fire, that's that whole detection versus, Facebook did a huge thing. I think they awarded $1 million to the winner for deepfake detection. There's no silver bullet. And I've been in this a long time in computer. Everybody comes out with a silver bullet, and very quickly you realize, no such thing as a silver bullet. It just causes another set of problems. So, challenge questions for voice, like we talked about. I think that's it. Oh, no. Okay, so this is cool. So you were talking about, well, can you play with this, etc. Somebody was talking about that. So there are some apps, there are some phone apps that will allow you to put input, like Face Swap Live. You can do live face swap with phone app. So these are out there. I haven't played with them, but there's Reface where you can put different faces on different things. Longbow, use at your own risk. I'm not advocating. I'm just telling you these things exist. All right, legal. So in 2019, Texas banned deepfakes for elections. Virginia banned deepfake porn in 2019. California banned election deepfake 60 days from election, which that's one that I just don't quite understand. That if 61 days before election you can do deepfakes, but 60 you can't. Look, it's government. Okay, no offense, but it's government. There was an act that went through in 2020. It was basically called the National Defense Authorization Act. Part of it was a deepfake report, a report for the government on how successful deepfakes are. Deepfake reporting for election info to Congress if if any deepfakes were found, and then a contest to create tech detecting deepfake content. So, future discussion. How good will it be in 10 years? Anybody got I'm not a forward-looking guy. I saw problems of today.
10 months is gonna go
Yeah.
even better.
I-
It was the CEO of NVIDIA, when they were doing, they did the shareholder meeting, this was, he did it, I guess, from his kitchen. And because of the lockdown and all, but the vast majority of it was all deep fake and rendered.
You know, I read that story the other day and I completely forgot about it. Probably should add that in. I'll add that in for my presentation tomorrow. Those are the people that confirm me. Yes, sir.
So I have to imagine this is very similar to like AI as far as how AI learns
It is.
with virtual reality moving at the pace it's moving at.
Yeah.
I feel like virtual reality is.
At some point they'll cross, right?
Yeah.
So where does virtual reality and real world stop?
Demolition Man.
Yeah.
What they predicted is already come true, so I think that. AI stuff.
There you go. So will detection keep up?
We have to place for cybersecurity.
Well,
Detection, you know,
yeah. So we talked about a lot of things that will be used for. What will be the next thing? That's the question. How will somebody? And I will tell you right now, my complete theory is that technology gets used for entertainment and bad long before it gets used for business purposes. Business purposes are long downstream from, so the question is, what will it be used for next?
How would you be able to tell in virtual reality if you're actually talking to a person?
I don't know.
Well, my prediction is that they'll use just like these crypto accounts or whatever. You have to scan your ID, but they're making fake IDs too, so it's like, but you have to scan your ID, you have to have like another form of ID, you have to have a picture of yourself, like all these different forms before you can trade in and out of the account, so that'll probably get stricter or something.
So when I went through and got my bachelor's degree in computer science, which was a long time ago at UNF, we won't talk about how big the computers were that wouldn't fit in this room. There was a thing called the Turing test. Turing test was basically, can you put someone on the other side of a wall and have them interact with either a human or a computer and they can't tell the difference? Well, the Turing test was broken a while back. Okay, we are well past that. Now, like you were talking about, is that a chat bot? Or is it a human being? Is it someone in India claiming to be Bob? Or is it a chatbot in India claiming to be Bob? Your guess is as good as mine. So anyway, called the Turing test. It's a wonderful thing. You go read about it now. I have finally used that class for something now. 30 plus years later. All right. So here's all the resource links for everything I talked about and probably some more stuff. Really cool stuff. You'll have this, I'll make sure you get the deck. Anybody who wants it, it'll be on the WASP site. So, all right, with that said, I think that's the last slide. I've rambled enough for one night. Any questions? Anything? Yes, sir.
So these apps like face, I kind of know the answer, Facetune, Face, all that stuff. Essentially, you would just be giving up your right for whatever company to use and scan image of your face.
So I don't know the legal answer to that, but I think you're right. I'm guessing. So here's the thing is Facetune you have to pay for. So maybe you've got some groundwork there to work with, but there's a saying in which I didn't invent by any stretch. The saying is if you don't pay for something, if it's free, you are the product. Facebook, Twitter, etc. So you are the product. I think you're probably right. I would venture to say that you probably have zero ground to stand on.
And your face, if you have a driver's license, your face is already out there. The states have sold almost all the driver's license photos and information. So
yeah.
And if you walk around,
perfect. She beat me to it. Enterprise license agreement, that ELUA or enterprise user license agreement that we all go click.
Yeah,
If you read through some of those,
it's crazy.
I think there's a website out there that actually dissects some of them, and there is some crazy crap in some of them. Like, you know, I'll give up my firstborn child if I ask for it. You know, I mean, just nobody reads that crap. So
My daughter did a model, took pictures of a friend of mine in Oregon called us and said, hey, is this your daughter on this box? And they used her image. Of course, she signed a release, they gave her $250. That was a good day for her, but, you know, they used her on a inflatable raft.
you know, careful what you sign, because I always laughed at stuff like that. When when my wife and I got married many years ago, the place we got married at said, and the photographer said, you know, would you mind if we, you know, use this for promotional? And I'm like, 1 in a billion will never use me in front of anything that they want to sell. And I'll be damned. It was a perfect day, perfect lighting, dead still, perfect reflection off of the pond that we got, the pool that we got married next to. It turned out to be a fabulous picture. It's the only one I'm in that's fabulous.
Oh, wow.
And that one got used for the next 20 years by the place we got married at.
You get a residual.
Thank you. I paid $1,500 for them to take this picture. Don't take financial or nutritional advice from me. Okay? All right, so that's all I got. Larry, you want to run away with it?
Oh, thank you, sir. Appreciate it. I mean, this puts catfishing at a whole new level.
I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, it's crazy, especially with, you know, we were talking about the social media app where, you know, you can take a picture of yourself and like glamorize, you know, for the catfishing. It's crazy the amount of stuff that's out there, you know?
I had a daughter who in her teenage years was being catfished, and it took, I mean, nothing like this. I mean, it was nothing like this. And it took me sitting down and doing a night's worth of open source intelligence to go look.
Yeah, that's great.
And it still wasn't enough. Yeah. By the way, teenagers are very difficult.
Yeah.
They should be sold when they're younger than that.
Yeah, that doesn't work that way. Well, cool. Thank you, sir.
Hey, no problem. Enjoyed it. Thank you. Thanks so much.
I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna put a link in the meetup page. Also, is everyone friends on Facebook for the OWASP Jacks? All right. Friend us.
I have a question for you guys. I'm going to give this presentation tomorrow for about 280 people plus. What did they cover that you would want to hear about? I have like 7 or 8 hours to go figure it out. Anything? Is there anything that you would go, I'd like to hear more about, or I didn't get a feel for anything?
What type of things would it be to benefit? I mean, to benefit us
From the
box. Yeah.
Okay, that's
You know, things like, you look at like missing children, how the age progression, is it similar to that?
I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we always look at the negative thing, but what useful aspects?
It's handle with things.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just taking.
Don't get paid to look at the positive.
This is just taking what the forensic scientists used to do with a skull.
That's
and
true.
collar, and now it's putting them on digital.
Yeah.
To render the person's face